We are going to talk today about breaking in as a mobile application platform. Jarah, maybe we can start with you just kind of sketching out a little bit about what you think someone can offer to persuade a developer to check them out.
Yeah, so Flurry sees a ton of mobile app activity, and we support whatever platform a developer wants to develop on. So as soon as we hear from enough of our clients who are developers, mobile companies, a lot of you in this room, that, hey, I really want to develop for XYZ platform, Flurry will then make the decision to support it. And so to answer your question of what can a platform do to really court the developer's favor, and I think there's a couple of key things and key pain points that a lot of you in this room probably face. And one of them is, just having a flexible, scalable, stable platform is kind of table stakes, I'd say. But to really make developers interested, I think you need to have an exciting, innovative feature set for your platform, and you need to start thinking about solving some of the problems that developers face, because it's asking a lot for someone to develop on not only your platform but all the other existing platforms that they're already trying to support. So can you do anything to help make them more scalable? I mean, is your platform getting good penetration? Can you do something about discoverability? Do you have a way for them to get discovered without spending millions and millions of dollars? Is there a way to reduce the friction in terms of payment so that you can actually monetize the applications that you're working so hard to develop? And I think that, I think Microsoft has taken a lot of those things into account. I know that, Apple and Android have their own approaches, but I think those are really looking at the pain points of developers and trying to think through what's going to make this platform compelling for someone to do this in addition to everything that they're already doing, because we're all dealing with limited resources. I think that's really what makes or breaks a platform.
So as a point of reference, when does Flurry jump onto a next platform? What's kind of the critical mass necessary, if you can be specific, for making the decision to invest the resources yourself?
Yeah, so there's no hard and fast rule. So unfortunately, I can't be too specific. There's no bright line test, right? There's no number of installed devices that has to hit, and then Flurry will just flip the switch and we'll start cranking out an SDK for that particular platform. It's more about our clients who are important to us, who say to us, hey, I really want to develop for this new platform. Can you guys support it? And if we get a critical mass, and that could be a whole bunch of longer tail developers, or it could be one or two really important partners who want to support a specific platform, that's when we'll go ahead and make the call to try and develop for that.
So it's more about the squeaky wheel than the numbers.
I don't know that I would go that far.
Okay.
But so if we had a ton of numbers and no squeaky wheels, we would say, hey, nobody's asking for this, but everybody's doing it. We better get in the game.
Right. So Todd, what are the numbers for Windows Phone right now? Tell us a little bit about your progress.
Well, we launched Windows Phone 8 in late October. And it's been rolling out and coming out in new markets, China most recently in late December. And since we've launched it, we've seen some pretty remarkable numbers. Our CEO, Steve Ballmer at CES, noted that on a weekly run rate basis, we're shipping about 5x more units over the Christmas, December period than we did the year before. From a developer perspective, developers have seen over 100% increase in app downloads in just the last 2 months. They've also seen even greater return from a revenue perspective, both for paid apps and for advertising-based revenue. Those are both up 3x over the last 3 months, and so I think we've got a really good product in market. We have some very good partners that we've worked with, and we're just beginning to roll out Windows Phone 8 not only in the United States and Western Europe, but for countries all over the world. And I think developers are really seeing the return on their investment that they've made in the platform to date. And I might add to the point of what drives a developer to consider a new platform. I mean, we've always kind of looked at it from a productivity perspective, then a discoverability perspective, and then ultimately a monetization perspective. And all three of those come into play. From a productivity perspective, we offer an edition of Visual Studio, which is a very powerful integrated development environment with an emulator suite, all for free for developers around the world. Since we launched our Windows Phone 8 SDK in late October, we've seen 3x the download rate of our SDK than what we had just the previous year with our existing SDK. So developers find that very helpful, because one of the key things when you're deciding which new platform to go on or how to extend your customer reach is the cost of doing so. And so with Windows Phone, you reach every single Windows Phone customer with a single image of your application. You don't have to test on multiple versions and iterations. If you write an application once, it's going to run with high fidelity and high performance on all Windows Phone handsets. 2, discoverability. We did a lot in Windows Phone 8 to really enhance discoverability, which is really the #1 challenge developers have told us that we needed to work on. And frankly, I think they've told the industry to go work on, which is I'm a new app, I'm new to the platform, how do I get discovered? For us, discoverability 1 is around awareness. And so all the Windows Phone TV ads that maybe some of you have seen over the last couple months have collectively exposed 150 application brands and made them available. And we're going to continue to do that and even have a contest underway right now to really make, that gives everyone an opportunity to be featured in a Windows Phone ad. But then on the device experience itself, it's important to surface applications the way users want to find them. Whether they're in progress of doing a search, there might be an app for that in your search experience, even if you're browsing on search. In addition, we've done a lot of work on the algorithms as well as the user interface that take inputs not just like downloads and sales into account in a ranking, but other factors like how often is an app pinned to the start screen. Well, that's an indication to a user that someone's going to use the application, and users love and use applications with live tiles, which is one of our hallmark user experience features, much more so than any other kind of application. And we also have negative signals, so if users uninstall an app, if you're a one-hit wonder, someone downloads you but then uninstall you the next day, then that's a negative signal that goes into the algorithm. So what we're trying to do is reward new developers with compelling applications who want to break through more quickly, and if they've built a quality application and users like it, it will rise to the top.
Which of those things do you think that you do significantly better than other platforms?
Well, I think on the tool side, I think it's pretty widely acknowledged that Visual Studio is one of the most powerful development environments that exist. Over 8 million developers around the planet use Visual Studio every day for either internal line of business applications or consumer applications. It's probably one of the most broadly used developer tools out there. What we hear anecdotally from a lot of different developers is the application that they're able to build on Windows Phone can typically be done in a half to a third the time of some other kind of major smartphone platforms out there because of the productivity tools and the code and the emulation environment that we provide on the tool. So I think we stack up pretty well on a tools perspective. On the discoverability perspective, ABI Research just did a study and released some results around their discoverability comparisons between some of the major smartphone platforms and regarded Windows Phone Store as the most innovative and one of the ones most conducive to app discoverability. And we feel really good about that. Our engineering team was giving themselves high fives when we got that award. And we actually see that in the numbers too. Users download a tremendous number of apps, but they also use those apps more frequently for longer periods of time because they're a much more engaging kind of experience. And then the final point was around monetization. One of the reasons that users don't buy paid applications isn't so much as they don't have money in their pocket, it's they don't have a credit card that they can easily enter into the system. It's a big advantage to have a credit card on file, but if you don't, what do you do as a customer? And a lot of times customers they were about ready to buy it, but then, oh boy, I have to go enter a credit card. And so they'll veer away from that.
So how many credit cards do you guys have on file?
Oh, between on the Microsoft account basis, I don't know the exact numbers, but every Xbox Gold Live subscriber already has a credit card on file.
Because those are all linked.
Yeah, millions of Windows Phone users, even more Windows users. I don't have an exact figure for you on that.
But you would say it compares well with someone like Apple that has all those iTunes Store.
It's large and growing. I don't know if it's as large or larger, but having a payment instrument on file is really important. But the even more important point, on a mobile basis, one of the most trusted payment instrument providers that's available to consumers and is available globally is mobile operator carrier billing.
Yeah.
Every time we deploy mobile operator carrier billing, and we're up to almost 20 mobile operators who have carrier billing, we see the volume of paid transactions and the revenue generated go up by anywhere from 2 to 3x in developed markets, and in emerging markets go up by 5 to 6 times from a revenue perspective. And that's one of the big things that's driving, I think, the big revenue increase we see for developers happening right now on Windows Phone.
So Jarah, what do you think are those advantages paying off? What are you seeing in the numbers around the Windows Phone 8 platform?
Yeah, so from what Flurry can see, we've seen year over year, December 11 to December 12, a 10x increase in the number of active users on Windows Phone devices, which is a phenomenal number, which, you know, it's a hockey stick growth number. If you look at all of the other platforms, they're growing, you know, iPhone almost doubling, iPad doubling, Android doubling, RIM even increased, BlackBerry even increasing, but only by about 30%. So Windows is really kind of leading the pack in terms of growth.
Growth rate.
It's quite phenomenal in terms of the rate. Starting from obviously a much smaller base, of course, but that growth, I mean, it's really hockey stick. So we're seeing a lot of adoption, and we're continuing to see new, what we would call project starts, new applications launching on the Windows Phone platform. So it's continuing to grow. And I would say that looking at that based on, you know, what happened maybe in '08 with the iPhone and then later with iPad, I would say, you know, it's taking off in a comparable way. Will it sustain itself fast enough to kind of reach those numbers? I don't have a crystal ball, but what we're seeing from the initial data is extremely positive.
Mm-hmm. So what in your mind are the big platforms right now? And because I know there's a lot of fragmentation within those platforms as well.
Yeah, so the way that I really think about it in talking to our clients who are, you know, major mobile developers and mobile businesses is there's obviously iOS for the iPhone. I think of the iPad as a different platform, quite frankly, because as we've heard today, is that a platform that's built for a native app? Is that more suitable for mobile web? And I have clients asking, is that more suitable for desktop web, frankly, right? Is that the right solution for that form factor? Then you have the iPad mini. And what do I do there, right? Am I going to have a universal app that works across iPhone, iPad, iPad mini? And I think these different form factors lend themselves to much different experiences. And for people that, you know, really care about providing the optimal experience for that form factor, those are 3 different projects for them. And when you get into Android, that's a completely different ball of wax that's multiplied exponentially by the different carriers, the different handset manufacturers, and the different forks that have happened. You've got Amazon, you have Alibaba in China. Which one of those are you going to develop for? And while they're not so different, it still takes additional effort to develop for all of those different versions of Android. So from my perspective right now, I mean, Windows Phone is the clear 3rd place contender. And I think that, you know, iOS and Android are obviously still leading. They're still kind of everyone's top 2 platforms when they think about development. But I see Windows coming up and a lot of folks saying, I want to play there. I want to invest the resources and I want to be on that device.
So just a second ago when we were in the hallway, I had a chance to chat with some of the people who are coming off a previous panel, big mobile developers, large on the platforms they are on, folks like Waze and Smule, and asked them, you know, what are you doing on Windows Phone? And at this moment they aren't. And for them, I think the question is really about how do you guarantee that there's monetization when, if you're a successful app maker, basically anything you do has a lot of potential on an existing platform, but why are you going to go out into unknown space and do something new? So what are some of the incentives and appeals that you would make to folks like that? I mean, I know that Microsoft has gotten a little more into paying and incentivizing developers to make things when you have a lot of confidence that you want that on your platform. So how do you make those decisions, and who gets invited to those conversations about, you know, we'll pay you or we'll make your app for you?
Well, app publishers have a lot of different ways and have a lot of different factors and resource trade-offs that they need to make on our platform. What we try to do is to make it clear what the opportunity is. So right now there's about 1.3 billion Windows PCs on the planet. And last year, I think we shipped, Windows shipped as much as 400 million copies. And so presuming that kind of continues rate, there's a huge opportunity for Windows on the desktop. Now, Windows Phone doesn't ship nearly as much yet as Windows does, but one of the big architectural changes we made with Windows Phone 8 was to actually build Windows Phone 8 on the Windows core. Mm-hmm. So under the hood, it's not Windows CE, which was the previous version anymore, it's core Windows. And from a developer perspective, if you're developing a game, the ability to reuse and leverage your code between one and the other platform is close to 90%. And so there's 2 platforms that collectively have 1.3 billion users on the planet who basically you have two platforms that are increasingly coming together from an operating system perspective and provide a huge opportunity. Now, clearly, we don't have all the apps that we would like on the platform, and we work with those partners and encourage them on. And I think as of even just a couple months ago, 46 of the top 50 applications that are available on Android and iOS, for example, that are popular are also on our platform. So users can generally find almost every single app or experience that they're looking for. One of the things that that developers should keep in mind as they think about their decisions is that we're at a scale and a point in the market, in the storefront environment now, that users can pretty much find multiple alternatives to any kind of experience that they've had on any other kind of platform. And so one of the conversations I frequently have with developers who then decide to come to our platform is like, if you're not taking care of your customer on the Windows platform, big Windows Phone, then someone else is going to do that and fill in the gap. And we've seen that across the board, from social networking experiences to games and other kinds of experiences. And it's really an ecosystem that makes a platform successful, not just the platform itself.
And maybe an opportunity for those startups that are trying to compete against an established player on another platform to have some green space. Yeah,
it provides a little bit of green space, but it's not just a classic argument of like, oh, no, it's a greenfield opportunity because there aren't a lot of people there. I mean, there's 125,000 applications right now in the Windows Phone store, and every time that you do a search for an application, if you don't find the exact one you're looking for, there's typically 4 or 5 others that have developed either a comparable experience, a substitute experience, or an alternative experience. And in some cases, it's even better than what the actual experience is. I won't name names, but a lot of people are very satisfied with those, and we expect as those companies that are on other platforms think about what their trade-offs are and think about where their customers are asking for support to follow them, they'll join the platform, and we're there to help them with promotion, with marketing, with design and technical assistance and guidance. And we've done that in many cases, and we'll continue to do that. We love the app experience on our phone today, and more importantly, users love the app experience on the phone. And with live tiles and the ability to constantly re-engage users in a dynamic way is a super compelling to anybody, I think, who wants to build not just make a transactional relationship with a user, but to develop a long-term relationship with that user, and then find a way to exchange value over time.
There was one specific situation I paid attention to that I think might speak to some larger interesting tensions on both of your behalves, which is I think Microsoft had published one of your general counsel types had published a blog post a couple weeks ago talking about the problems with trying to get a full YouTube app on Windows Phone, which at the moment, YouTube is not really providing the full API support for Microsoft to help them build something, as I understand it, or building one themselves. And I think it's kind of interesting because if you look at it, there's a couple sides to this issue, right? So YouTube historically, I think, had tried to take more of like a open HTML5 development strategy. Then at some point decided that wasn't really great. They wanted a little more control. I think some of their problems with the official iOS YouTube app played into that, where it was maybe a little bit subpar because it wasn't under their control. And then they eventually got dropped. They made their own. They've made their own for a number of platforms, including some Microsoft platforms like Xbox, right? But then there's this tension there where it's like, well, Windows Phone really wants a great YouTube experience. You can say there's other video applications, but that's really the site where a lot of the world's video lives. But there's not that full partnership there or that full availability of the API.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of users really enjoy the YouTube experience, would love to have a full-featured, kind of comparable experience on a Windows Phone as they enjoy maybe on other smartphone environments. That said, there's a lot of alternatives to that. We're competitors with Google, but we're also partners with Google as a company on multiple different fronts. And we hope this is an area where Google will see it's in their own interests and in their customers' interests to provide a great YouTube experience on Windows Phone. And until then, we'll continue to have independent developers and ISVs and our own published YouTube app be available to users to consume an experience that may not be fully satisfying, but is available to them.
I do want to give an opportunity if someone wants to ask a question, but Jarah, I wanted to throw that one to you and talk about just the interesting tensions that you see between trying to develop something that's really available everywhere and trying to make these really custom experiences and acknowledge the specialness of every platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think cases like that can, while they may be frustrating for all parties involved, it can open up the door for third-party developers to really shine and to see what other people are capable of. And I think about, maps, right? What happened with iOS 6 and maps? Well, you saw a big increase for companies like Waze. MapQuest really opened up the door for some third parties who have really innovative, interesting products to get out there. And so in that sense, for the ecosystem, for the industry as a whole, just for the sake of competition, I think sometimes having a pause in these relationships can be good for the greater system. But it's about critical mass. I think once you find a Windows Phone in every other pocket, I would be surprised, I can't comment on what YouTube wants to do, but why wouldn't you want to be there? And I think that's really the issue, is that a lot of people are playing this waiting game with any new platform, whether it's Windows 8, a Windows Phone, of seeing, when am I going to take the plunge? What is my threshold for a critical mass in order to make that investment?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you guys a little bit more about global growth and growth in different regions. I mean, there's a lot of people using smartphones who've never used them before yesterday, and that happens every day, and that's a new opportunity to reach people every day. So how do you see kind of these like lumpy markets emerging, and how do you address that? What are good strategies for that?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I think Simon had some great slides showing where growth is, and I mean, obviously China is a huge place for that. And what we see interestingly in Asia is especially tablet growth and what people are doing on those devices. So we see a lot more media and entertainment usage on tablet devices in Asia, even versus North America. So I think there are going to be differences in how people in different regions use the different form factors.
But is that an opportunity for platform makers to become the dominant, the Orchid in Brazil kind of experience?
So why wouldn't I, fork Android in China if everybody wants to watch movies and television on it in a way that is optimized for media playing? Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of opportunities for platforms to make those kinds of geographic tweaks, or at least, modifications, enable them if you as a developer want to specialize in some kind of niche category for what's popular in your geo.
Mm-hmm.
What we're finding across the world is that we made a big investment in Windows Phone 8 to be available from our App Store perspective in 191 countries. And so in every single country now, pretty much on the planet, a user can buy a Windows Phone and download paid and free applications. And developers from those countries can register as well. One of the big things that's not always at top of mind in the United States when you think about the global mobile smartphone app opportunity is the fact that is the notion that most of these countries don't have operator or carrier subsidies associated with the purchase of the handset. And so, you're paying full retail price. In the United States, we enjoy lots of really great smartphones at $99 or $199 kind of price points. Those phones in an unsubsidized market, whether it's China or Argentina or Turkey, cost $700 to $900 types the dollars for the really high-end models. And so what I think you see in a lot of emerging markets as people move into smartphones from feature phones, they're very price sensitive around those upfront costs that they have to pay. And I think that gives an advantage to smartphone operating systems and hardware providers who are building relatively low-cost smartphones in those environments. And one of our strong partners, Nokia, is extremely strong in almost every single emerging market on the planet in doing that and building extremely cost-competitive smartphones. And we're seeing a tremendous growth in sales in all of those markets because of that.
Mm-hmm. Great. I'm sorry, I can't see too well. So if you are raising your hand low, can you raise it higher? Or in the case of, yep, there you go. Go ahead.
I was going to ask Todd.
Yep.
We're seeing two. Obviously, there's iOS and there's
be a third player in the tablet market, but with a little different spin. I'm not sure exactly what Microsoft's total strategy is for it, but the way I look at it is you have the iPad, and then you have the Kindle Fire, which are two prevalent tablets that are out there, but there's an option maybe for a third, and then the Surface is obviously out there. Was Microsoft considering and adding, and maybe future adding, specific Microsoft applications to the Surface to compete in sort of a different arena, whereby it's not necessarily just a consumer product that maybe the iPad or the Fire is, but it's also utility, where it's almost like we're looking at it as not just a consumer product, but where it could almost be a replacement for a laptop or something like that in an office environment. So I was just really interested in seeing, are you looking to differentiate in some way, and what was the strategy down the road?
Yeah, well, the Surface is an interesting product, as are other categories of products that the other device manufacturers make on Windows 8, which are these convertibles or hybrids or tablets, and it starts changing the mindset of how you think about the opportunity set. I think the way the smartphone market evolved, and then the tablet market came on top of that. I think a lot of folks, the other kind of direction of it is PCs becoming much more portable and laptop. And so at a point when you have a screen attached to a keyboard that collapses in a clamshell, that might look like a laptop. But if you can remove the keyboard and have a full touch interface, then that's a tablet. So what are we actually talking about? Are we talking about a tablet market, or are we talking about a laptop market, or some kind of spectrum that goes all the way across? And so the seams are different, right? Our seam as kind of a company is really between, I would say, the tablet and the phone, with a lot of code overlap that's converging. But the Surface and tablets like it, built on Windows 8, are all inherit all the goodness on the productivity as well as the play and entertainment side of the PC, of the desktop PC. Whereas I think in other platforms, the divide really is between kind of the desktop laptop versus the tablet and phone that we group as mobile. And so this middle area is an interesting one, which is it a smartphone operating system gone big, or is it a PC operating system that's been reinvented for this type of market? And that's the approach we've taken, certainly with Surface ourselves, and a lot of our partners have taken advantage of as well with other Windows 8 implementations and hardware. A lot of variety and differentiation.
I think we've run out of time, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity, if you want to, if you're interested in, if you're a partner analytics, it sounds like Jarah is the place to be. So what's the best way to reach you?
You can just email me. It's jarah@flurry.com.
And if you're building an app for Windows Phone 8, Todd, what's the best way to get you?
You can reach me on Twitter at Todd Brix or LinkedIn.
Awesome. And I'm Liz Gaines, and I write about apps. So if you have something that you're doing that's really cool, at Liz Gaines, Gannes, on Twitter. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much.